What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Dee Hankins Show, where we talk about life, help you with your curveballs, and celebrate your home runs. I'm your host, Dee Hankins. If you are here for the first time, thank you for tuning in. If you're listening for the first time, thank you for your ears and your time. I know time is precious, and I promise, I'm not going to promise you anything, but I'm hoping that this podcast offers value to your life. Now, this podcast is all about being resilient. And I'm not talking about grandmammy's resilience. I'm talking about true resilience. And episode number 1 is all about that resilience roadmap. I want to get you from point A in your life to point B. What is point A? It's wherever you're at right now. It's the overwhelmed, chaotic life. Things are happening. How do I control that? To the peaceful, serene world of absolute peace, right? Resilience to me, I define it as the ability to bounce back. And this is why I'm so fascinated with it. I grew up in foster care. I spent 18 years, the first 18 years of my life in foster care. I entered foster care when I was 2 months old. My mom and dad made a lot of mistakes. My mom has her own incredible, painful story. But the decisions that she made, the curveballs that life threw at her, landed me in foster care. My foster care journey was not one of grace and sunshine and rainbows. It was a very difficult life for me. I spent years bouncing around from home to home and group homes and all sorts of things. And the worst part about it is battling the statistics. As a Black male with no father figure, multiple foster homes, the statistics are grim. But I've had caring people in my life that saw the potential in me and led me down a path to where I am now. My dad, or who I call dad now, he put me on stages. He started my speaking career. I had a coach in high school that taught me life lessons. I had a counselor in school named Donna Hunter who didn't let me fail. I had teachers, you name it. And I've had it. And that is why I am where I am today. And I want to share those gifts and those lessons that I've learned in my 20 years to help you get from point A to point B. I call it life throws curveballs, right? And what that means is 96% of the world is going to experience some type of traumatic event. How do you bounce back from those traumatic events? Resilience. Well, not just the word resilience, but what the word actually means. Resilience, the ability to bounce back, it's in you. You have it. You can bounce back from anything. I've seen it. I've seen it with my own eyes. I haven't seen every scenario, but I've seen human beings bounce back from things that are just, whoa. We're talking poverty. We're talking illnesses. We're talking loss of limbs, loss of families, threw my family away. We're talking pornography, alcoholism, drugs, being on the streets, homelessness, foster care, divorce, domestic violence, HIV, you name it. People have bounced back from it. And that's why I get so excited. That's why I get so passionate about the theme of resilience. Now, my podcast is designed to really break it down for you. This is what I've experienced as a speaker and talking around the country. Anyone who comes up to me with a problem or anyone that has a problem, it is because one of their core 4 have been demolished. They're not taking care of a certain area in their core 4. Well, what is the core 4? I'm glad you asked, and I have the answer. The core 4 is what I find to be the most important areas of your life. These core 4 areas of your life, if you do your best at keeping up with them, you can become ultra resilient. Now, we're going to hear that word a lot throughout your career. Resilience, 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 resilience. Let me break that down for you. Resilience is not just bouncing back. It's not just moving forward. It's not just keep on going no matter what happens. That's not resilience. Resilience in its truest form is having systems in place that allow you to bounce back or get to a normal sense of life more efficiently and quickly, which involves less pain and less hurt. Let's be real. If you're out here, you know that life can be chaotic. Some of us listening right now, you're overwhelmed. You're overwhelmed with work. You're overwhelmed with your finances. You're overwhelmed with relationship. You're overwhelmed with your mental health, your physical health. You're overwhelmed. And in that overwhelming world that you have developed, there's chaos. Every time you feel like you took a step forward, you're taking 50 steps back. Every time you feel like you made some progress, something falls apart. Something comes down. That saying, when it rains, it pours. And you are the epitome of that saying. Anytime you try to do something right, anytime you try to take a step forward, you try to leave something behind, you try to set boundaries, something falls apart. That is chaos. When you listen to this podcast, this roadmap to resilience is going to allow you to find, to live in, you ready for it? Peace. Oh, doesn't that sound so nice? Peace. Have you felt peace before? Do you know what it's like to have peace, right? You know what it's like when everyone around you is dealing with the day-to-day hustle and bustle of life, just trying to stay afloat, just trying to keep their head above water. And you over there, you're floating on a raft with a margarita in your hand, even though the missiles of life are firing and the bombs of life are blowing up around you, you're sitting in your raft and you're experiencing what I call peace. That is true resilience. Now you may be thinking, that sounds way too good to be true. And for some people, it is. But there are people out there, trust me, that are living in absolute peace. Now, does peace mean that life is not going to throw curveballs at you? Absolutely not. Peace means that despite life throwing curveballs at me, I have a way to come back. I have a way to get out of this problem and get back to a sense of normalcy. I don't want an overwhelmed life, and I don't want a chaotic life to be your normal anymore. I want you to sense peace. Now, does this mean you're not going to argue with your wife? No. Does this mean that your boss is not going to be a jerk? No. Does this mean that your kids are going to listen to you and do everything that you say the first time? No, that's not what that means. This podcast and resilience is not about perfection. It's not about living in a perfect life and a perfect world. It's about living in a peaceful life and a peaceful world, knowing that no matter what happens to you, you can find a way to get back to where you want to be. That's what this is all about. And this is what I've done with my life, growing up in foster care, experiencing all the things that I have experienced in life, broken relationships, broken homes, all the mistakes that I've made as a man, all the mistakes I've made as a business owner, everything that I've done that I look back and go, dang, Dee, why did you do that? Every stupid thing that I've done, I can look back now and say, hey, it is what it is. I'm at peace. Is my life perfect? No, not at all. Do I still have problems? Yes. Does life still throw curveballs at me? Yes. But this smile that you see is authentic. You know why? Because I have systems in place. I have a support system in place that no matter what happens, whether it's at home or it's on the street, that I can always come back to my place of peace. And I can truly say that I have built a I have built a tremendously resilient life. And I want you to experience these same things. before we get to that, we need to understand that on this roadmap to resilient, you're going to have to do some work. And you're going to have to master what I call my 3-bucket philosophy. All right? What does that mean? As my time as a speaker hasn't just been to get on stage and empower people. It's also been to listen, to hear what people have to say, to study what I've been doing to not only help me be a better speaker, but you have a lot of knowledge out there, those of you that are watching. You have a wealth of knowledge, you have a wealth of information, and it is important to gather wisdom, is to listen to other wise people. Wisdom also comes from learning from your mistakes. So I listen to people's mistakes, I share my own mistakes, and I find out solutions, because at the end of the day, nothing new is under the sun. And what that means is this: any problem that you have right now, that you're going through right now, someone has gone through it. And someone not only has gone through it, but they made it. They made something of it, okay? So you don't have to touch the fire to know that it's hot. You don't have to touch the stove to know that it's hot. Some people learn that way. They ignore information. They ignore what has gone on in the past, and they need to learn from themselves. They need to learn what we call the hard way. I used to be that way. My back against the wall, I do my best work. Or I'm just like, well, maybe not for you, but maybe for me, it'll be different. And then I touch the fire and then it burns, and then so on and so forth. Well, I'm older now and I'm wiser now, and I don't do that. I just learn from other people's mistakes and I share what we have collectively learned as human beings. So that should be actually very encouraging, knowing that no matter what you're going through, someone has gone through it and there is a solution for that. The problem lies here, whether or not you're willing to apply that solution. And that brings me to these 3 buckets. Your life and everything in it is going to fall into 3 distinct buckets. Bucket number 1, my choices. Bucket number 1 is all of the choices that you make on a daily, weekly, yearly, hourly basis. Everything that you decide to do falls into the my choice bucket. Bucket number 2 is your choices. This bucket is filled with other people's choices. What they say, what they do, the dumb decisions, the good decisions, whatever. Everything that other people say and do, all their actions fall and how they have affected you, fall into bucket number 2. Bucket number 3 is what I call natural disasters, acts of God, aka things that are out of your control. What that means is this: in your bucket, in this natural disaster bucket is rainstorms, floods, your environment, when you were born. So time is in this bucket. Disease, COVID-19, all these things that no one has control over falls into the natural disasters, acts of God, aka things you cannot control bucket. This bucket is very important because throughout my career, I've heard people say the reason why I'm in this situation, or the reason why I can't move forward, is because something that happened in this bucket. And this is important to understand. Mastering these 3 buckets is no easy task. Mastering these 3 buckets is going to go against the way that some of you have lived your entire life, through blame and frustration and trying to control things that you cannot control, right? So if you are ready to take full accountability and responsibility for everything that happens in your life, so you can become truly resilient and bounce back from everything that happens to you, then this is the podcast for you. If you are not there yet, if you are continuing to blame and it's everybody else's fault, and you can't seem to get out of this, what we call victim mentality, it's everybody else's fault but mine, I still want you to listen to this podcast because hopefully I say something to you that breaks that train of thought. The goal of this podcast is to live and put up permanent residency in the My Choices bucket. Why? Because this is the only bucket in which you have absolute control. As you know, my passion is to help people build resilience, and it's a journey I've been on my entire life. That's why I created the Dee Hankins At Best Student Development Program. I started the program because I once was a student facing major curveballs, and I want to show students that they have a chance at a successful future no matter their background. We empower students with a 6-step framework called Win Your Challenges, and we build a network of support between students and parents and caring adults in their lives. If you're a parent, educator, or administrator and want to learn more about how we build bridges and transform school communities, I invite you to visit my website, deehankins.com. That's DeeHankins.com to learn more about how you can bring the At Best program to your school. You have no control in bucket number 2. You have zero, absolutely no one has any control in bucket number 3. But in each of these buckets, life can throw a curveball at you from each of these buckets. So think of these as a bucket of balls, right? A bucket of baseballs. Life can decide to pick whatever baseball up from whatever bucket and throw it at you. My job is to be your hitting coach. My job is to be your batting coach and get so good that whatever bucket life chooses to throw a curveball at you, you have the right technique and the right systems in place to swing for the fences. That's my job. That's the job of this podcast. Okay. Now, on our journey to resilient, to be an ultra resilient person, to find peace. Oh man, that just sounds great saying it. To find peace in our life, we're going to have to do some hard work in what I call the core 4. The core 4 is what I believe to be the most important areas in one's life. And if you dedicate your time, your attention, and doing your best in the core 4, you will be resilient beyond anything that you've ever seen before. So let's get into the core 4, okay? Up on top of this totem pole is spirituality. Yes, spiritual health. Now, some of you may hear spiritual health and automatically think religion. I'm not talking about religion. What I'm talking about is you. Spirituality is you. It's you as a whole. It's your personality. It's your love language. It's your skill, your skills, your talents, your gifts. It's how you treat yourself, how you treat other people. It's where your integrity lies. It's where your discipline lies. Your spirituality is you. Now, yes, within that spirituality, there's purpose. There's a greater good outside of yourself. You have to have spirituality. I've always said resilience isn't forgetting about what happened to you. It's about finding something in your life that keeps you moving forward. And that could be religion. That could be God. That could be something that you follow that you feel is bigger than yourself, or greater than yourself. But spirituality is you as a whole. It determines, like I said, how you treat yourself, how you treat your mother-in-law, how you treat Black people, how you treat white people, how you treat your kids, how you treat strangers. That is spirituality. Your emotions, your emotion and how you regulate your emotions. All of that falls into spirituality. So there's some heavy hitters in this pillar of spirituality, some heavy hitters. And the reason why this is at the top is because without these things, everything else falls apart. Not even falls apart. Without spiritual health, the rest doesn't even matter. If you feel that you have no purpose in life, if you can't regulate your emotions, having finances, it doesn't matter. None of this stuff matters. Everything will fall apart if you do not take care of your spiritual health. Spirituality is also where your family lies, where your relationship lies, where your friendship lies. There's so much in the spirituality core 4 that is so important to the rest of your life and building resilience and becoming ultra resilient, that this is priority number 1. This is on top of the core 4 hierarchy. Next, we have financial health, where you are financially, okay? Your financial health is also important and high on this totem pole because your financial health is gasoline for your vehicle to work. If your financial health is in shambles, it's going to be very difficult to take care of everything else. Now, do not get me wrong. I'm not talking wealth. I'm not talking rich. Some people are, oh, if I was only rich, all of my life would change. That is incorrect. If I won this $1 billion lottery, my life would just be great. No, you would just have a lot of money, but that doesn't mean that the other core areas of your life will be fixed. The beauty about this is you can do this making $40,000 a year. You can do this making $1 million a year. Your financial health is the foundation for allowing you peace of mind to do the work for the rest of these or for this core 4 philosophy, right? When your financial health is in shambles, it has a direct pain point to each one of your core 4 areas, especially spirituality. When poverty hits, when debt hits, when you're in financial straits, you're so stressed out, it's hard to focus on the rest of these items. So that's why financial is up there. Number 3, physical health. Anytime you neglect your physical health, you press that red button that accelerates the time to your demise. I want to be so clear with that. Again, anytime you neglect your physical health, you are cutting the red wire on the bomb, and that thing is going to explode. You're cutting the wrong wire on the bomb. You are pressing that button, and instead of day by day, you're losing life by the minute, by the second. Your physical health is so important. When you neglect it, it has a direct, a one-way street to your pockets. I've never met anyone who was unhealthy physically in dire straits where it didn't touch your wallet, where it didn't touch your finances. And I want you to think about that. Think about how we're putting this together. If I'm unhealthy physically and I'm unhealthy financially, spiritually, I'm doomed. Everything in my spiritually, it's a hole in the roof and it's about to fall through. Okay? All of these are connected. And if you can promise yourself that you're going to do your best and take care of these categories, man, your life, woo! Because right now, a lot of us watching this, we're living a life where two or more of these core 4 are in shambles. And it's hard to get a grasp and take control of your life. You're at life's beck and call. And as it throws curveballs at you, you do not have the wherewithal nor the skills to step up to the plate and hit. You just keep striking out over and over and over again. And I'll tell you, if you strike out enough, you're going to have to deal with your mental health. Now, although mental health is at the bottom of this core 4, it is not the least. Think of it more as the foundation beam. Without this mentality or without strong mental health, the rest of these core 4s are crumbling down, okay? You need mental strength to work on your spirituality. You need mental strength to work on your finances. You need mental strength to work on your physical health. You need these. So although it's number 4, it is not the least. It is just as, if not as important as your spirituality. It's going to hold up everything else, all right? My experience as a speaker has shown me that most people who are struggling, it is because they're lacking in one or multiple areas. Sometimes we see, like, for instance, celebrities. We see celebrities that behind the camera or in front of the camera, we see them as having it all together. But if you've ever watched celebrities do really transparent interviews, you'll see that they mention some type of breakage, some type of brokenness in one of these core 4 areas. For instance, when I grew up, I was a huge TLC fan. TLC was a big group in the 90s. They had hits, No Scrubs, Don't Go Chasing Waterfalls, Red Light District. They had all of these hits, and they were very popular. They were on every music station. They were everywhere. Come to find out, they were broke. They didn't have any money. You know, you would think they would, the way they're singing and doing their thing. You would think they would, but no. And not having any money really took a toll on them mentally. You see this in other actors. You see this in actors who have big names, big roles in huge movies, but they have drug problems. Their drug problems affected them physically, thus affecting them mentally, thus affecting them financially. You see this all the time. Oftentimes we see these celebrities and go, man, you got all of that money. Why are you still choosing to do A, B, and C? Well, because other parts of their core 4 are damaged. Same with us, everyday people. Whenever something in our core 4 is going wrong, it starts to send a crack with it into the rest of them. And one of the two or something in this 4, one of these 4 are going to be affected. And if all 4 of them are in shambles, we're in a hopeless state. So my job on this podcast is to get you to do the best in your core 4 so you can be tremendously. I'm talking about where people look at you and go, yo, how are you sustaining life even though life is throwing curveballs at you? Hopefully that sounds exciting. We're going to dive into each one of these, and we're going to have guests on this show that can bring further knowledge and wisdom to help you all. This is the podcast for you. Again, if you're tired of being overwhelmed and you're tired of life just throwing curveballs at you, this is the podcast for you. And I'm going to dedicate my time to helping you live the best life that you could possibly live in all of those areas. What's up, everyone? I'm excited to announce the launch of my brand new podcast, The Dee Hankins Show. But it isn't just about me. I want you to be a part of it too. I'm looking for your stories for 2 brand new segments. First up, Curveball Corner. If you have a situation or problem that you're dealing with, send in your story and I'll give you my best advice. Then we have Home Run Highlights for those moments of pure, undeniable success, like paying off your student loans, landing a new job, or buying a house. So, you ready to be on the show? Head to the link in my bio right now and share your story with me. I can't wait to hear from you. This podcast is going to be broken up into 3 segments, all right? Like I said, life, curveballs, home runs. We're going to talk about life. We're going to help you get from point A to point B every week. We're going to help you with your curveballs. What that means is this. Each of you has a chance, and I want you to submit your story. If you're dealing with something right now that is hurting your core 4, relationships, finances, mentally you're struggling, physically you're struggling, send in your story, and I will give you my personal advice if you want it to try to help you understand your buckets and master your buckets. And I can guarantee this, that if you continue listening to this podcast, you will overcome life's chaos because you will be the master of choice. I'm going to reiterate time and time again to take full and absolute responsibility for your life, to live and set up permanent residency in the My Choices bucket. And every time you come in, with a question or a curveball. I'm going to ask a framework of questions within those 3 buckets. Is this situation something that I'm doing? My choices? Is this something that happened to me? Your choices? Or is this out of my control? And I want you all to ask yourself that every time you're struggling, okay? Is this something I'm doing? Is this something that happened to me? Or is this out of my control? Once you start mastering these buckets, you're going to find that getting back to a sense of normalcy and peace is going to be so much easier. So I've dedicated Curveball Corner for that. And then we have Home Run Highlights. And this is just to celebrate wins. I love celebrating wins. Big ones, small ones. It's your birthday. You had a baby. You applied something that I said on the show to your own life, and it helped you. You paid off your debt. Whatever the case may be, this part of the show is for you. So again, life, Curveball Corner, Home Run Highlights, which brings me to the next segment. We actually have somebody that submitted to Curveball Corner, and I want to share it with each and every one of you all. So here we go. This comes from Caitlin from Bakersfield. Caitlin says, "Hi, Dee. I've told you before my dad didn't want to come to my quince because I didn't feel comfortable with his daughter there. I find it very unfair that he's given his other family the love and the trips that he hasn't given me. When I was little, he would take me and my family on trips, and I assumed that my parents were still together because we'd go on these trips for days, but I didn't know that my dad had already started a new family. I want him to take me and my sister to Disneyland. He took his other family there last year. He wanted to take me with him last year, but when he asked his other daughter to invite me, she refused. He expects me to invite her on trips when she didn't even invite me on one. I really feel bad. Whenever he comes to visit us, he's only with us for an hour or two because he has plans with them. And I'm assuming them is his other family. He's always canceling plans with us to be with them. He's always with them. If he's not going to take us out of town, he can at least eat out with us and go to the movies with us without his other family. The last time I felt like a family to him is when he took me, my sister, and my mom to the fair. Yeah, wow. Okay, well, Caitlin, thank you so much for sharing your story. It really sounds like you're going through a difficult situation. Anytime you're dealing with family dynamics and navigating family dynamics, it is difficult. So again, we're going to use the 3-bucket framework to help you with this situation because I see a few things happening, okay? When it comes to the choices, we're going to talk about the your choices bucket first. So your dad is making these choices that you feel you're not a priority. You have a need to be close with your dad. At least that's what I feel you're expressing. You want to be close to your dad. You have a desire to be close to your dad, but you do not feel like he's making you a priority because he's canceling plans with you to be with them. He's doing things with them that he's not doing with you, that at least he used to do, but he's no longer doing it anymore. So to me, it sounds like you feel as if you're being replaced, and that is painful. That when I think of it, just as a dad myself, that can feel pretty painful. However, he is making those choices and you have no control over the choices he makes. At the same time, I want to skip over to the my choices bucket. You are also making decisions that is putting your dad in a difficult spot. What I hear from your story is that your dad, although he has a new family, he wants you to be close with his new family. The facts are this: he does have another daughter. The facts remain the same. you are still his daughter and your sister and so on and so forth. What it sounds like is he wants you all to cooperate together and you don't want to. Now, that is perfectly understandable. It is important for you to set boundaries, and you have every right to set a boundary and say, look, I don't want any part of that. And that's that. That comes with consequences, though. That gives your dad ultimatums, and that puts him in a spot to where he needs to choose whether it's going to be you or whether it's going to be his other daughter, rather than all of you being together. And when I'm reading, I see that, hey, I'm not comfortable with your daughter. He didn't show up to your quinceañera because he looks like he had to bring her or wanted to bring her, and you said no. So he decided that he wasn't going to go. And I'm pretty sure that that's hurtful for both of you. But I just want to understand your responsibility in this. If you say, I don't want any part of that life, you cannot control how he responds to that. However, you can be very direct with your dad, and you can tell him, hey, I do want to spend time with you. You can set that boundary. Like I said, you have every right to set that boundary. And this is what I would do. Because this is what's in your control. I would ask Dad, hey, is it possible that you take me to the movies, just me? I desire that time from you. I just want us to hang out. I want you to be with me as well. Can you take me to dinner on Saturdays? Breakfast, just me and you, nobody else. I don't see a problem with that because I do that with my own kids. Every Sunday, me and my son, we go eat wings after church, just me and him. It's just a father-son bonding that I love to have. I did that with my daughter when she was younger. I used to take her to breakfast. I used to take her to dinner, just me and her, daddy-daughter time, okay? I think that's important for parents to have those things. I would ask him and really be direct about your want to have that quality time with him. Let him know how important it is to you. And also understand that just because you request it doesn't mean that he is going to make that decision. Whatever decision he makes, you have no control over. And also, I want to put in this situation, you don't have any control over what happened in the past either between him and your mom. That could still hurt you. You could still feel some type of way about that. You could still feel some type of way that, it didn't work out with them and he decided to create a new family, but you have no control over that. And what's happening is you're starting to really get frustrated because you're mixing up your buckets, okay? What you're saying is, I want to control this situation that my dad has going over here. And you're finding yourself getting disappointed and frustrated because you can't control any of that. You're trying to, but you can't. The only thing you can control is how you feel and what you want from him. And you do that by being direct. Hopefully that helps. I'm so sorry that you're going through this. I know it can be hard. It sounds like you love your dad so much. And I'm sure he loves you as well. This situation is complicated, and it's going to involve you really thinking about your relationship with your, I guess it's half sister now. And again, you have every right to say, I don't want any part of that. And you have every right to have no relationship with her at all. Just know, whatever you decide to choose, you have to take responsibility for the consequences that come after that. And they could be great and they could be not. It's really dependent on what you want to do. Thank you so much for sharing your story. Thank you so much for being vulnerable and opening up. Again, I hope that I answered your question, or at least gave you something to work on. And I appreciate you tuning in, and I appreciate you watching. Thank you all so much. This is the end of the show. I appreciate everyone for tuning in. I'll be back next week. I can't wait to see you all. Remember, life throws curveballs, but even curveballs can be hit for home runs. See you guys soon.